Okay guys, I'm going to do a short video showing you how you might want to customize your medication module to provide the most efficient workflow possible and allow you to have the most amount of information that you may need to prescribe medications. So in your medication module, just to remind you, when you get in here, you can configure your columns and put them in any way you see fit, and I'll review briefly why I have mine listed in this manner. Remember that to do this, you can go under your grid preferences and set your columns to display. You can change these by adding from the left to the right, and then once you've had the number that you want, you can either move them up and down here, which will then move them correspondingly left and right. Or what's simpler in my opinion is to just take and click and drag this around to wherever you'd like to have it in whatever order you choose. So going from left to right, my first column is last audit, and this just simply right away tells me when this prescription was last prescribed, whether it was printed, faxed, or e-scribed, and you can just hover over that and see when that was done. Then I have my medication name, and this is going to be either whether it's branded or generic based on how I sent it out. The generic name listed next, and then the SIG is here. Next you'll see my quantity, and I've limited the space here to only about 3 digits because on only very rare occasions would I have more than 3 digits. Then I've got my units, so I know how this was sent out, whether it was capsule, tablet, etc. PRN will say yes or no. Actually, it only say yes if it's a PRN medication, such as this one. And then the reason beside that tells you why it is being used as needed. Refills on the next column, and again, I have limited the size by moving this left and right till I get the right size for my preference. I then list my start date and stop date. This helps me to organize. When I'm organizing my medications, you can do that simply by clicking on the column, and it will organize by start date. In my opinion, I like this because I like to see what the most recently prescribed medicines are on top, but you could either choose to do it alphabetically or what have you. When you see this little arrow here, that tells you which column is being sorted. So start date, stop date. Non-clinical notes are what you write down in this field, what goes to the pharmacy. Note is what would be down here if you add a note. And then PDR tells you whether or not they've got physician drug reference information. I click here often to provide patient information regarding a new medication. You just click on patient drug info and it'll pop up a new screen pulling some very easy to read information for the patient, nice, convenient, and you can print from right here by clicking print. Then you have the last modification and who that was from. In this case, this one's from me, but these are from other clinical staff, so you can see quickly who was the last one to touch that medication. If it was prescribed elsewhere and you've identified where, that'll be listed here. And then if we're working on a prior auth, that also is listed. Again, this is my preference. I think this works best for my workflow. Feel free to change this as you see fit and adjust the sizes or widths of your columns. Then working down a little bit here, if you click on medication history, if this is a medication that you want to check on the status for at a local pharmacy, you can do that. You have to be in the chart on a new encounter in order to do this, but once you have that set, you should be able to then request information from the patient's pharmacy. Aside from that, one other tip that I have is down here, if you look at information on prescribed medications, these two are very helpful. The full history tells you in order chronologically when these medications were prescribed, so you can see how often they were prescribed. And it also, if you scroll, can show you more information, and down here shows you, like, for example, the quantity and so on. Very useful for controlled substances. And then the DUR history will show you if there's any sort of contraindications for this medication, and what those would be if they've been signed off. Dispense history, helpful to know, how it was last sent, and if it's e-prescribed, it'll tell you here whether it went through or not. And that's pretty much it. So basic information here. If you have questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll try and put some more information out there. Okay, thanks.